Hi everyone, my name is Emily Pedrazi and I'm a student from Redmond, Oregon. And today we will be going over the AP Psychology reading and note-taking skills. If you ever find yourself highlighting your whole textbook, you can avoid it by following these simple skills. Next slide. So breaking down the stream. First, we're going to start out by talking about why you should use these techniques. Then we will be discussing the content and the skills that are presented on the AP exam, all of the resources that you can utilize from textbooks to flashcards, and general note etiquette, how to take and review your notes properly. So why you should use these techniques. By using these techniques to review for AP Psychology, you can achieve more in less time while using less effort. These strategies are less tiring and they will provide higher results. They also help you create cohesive review materials and understand which content areas should be thoroughly noted, which we will talk about how practice exams can help you guide that, can help guide which content areas you need more work on in the future slides. So starting out with just a content breakdown. You can see four primary types of content that are going to be the bulk of the exam. You have the scientific foundations of psychology, which revolve around the founders of psychology, the initial ideas, not founders, sorry, the major figures such as Sigmund Freud or Wilhelm Wundt. There are also the biological bases, which go over the different neurotransmitters that cause your brain to behave in certain ways, the sensation and perception, learning and all the different types of learning, and then the next big one, which is cognitive psychology, which is 13 to 17% of the exam. After that, it is developmental psychology, then motivation, emotion, and personality. After that is clinical psychology, another big one, 12 to 16%. That is the typical mental disorder, like depression, bipolar, that everyone thinks of when you say psychology. After that, the last unit would be social psychology. And on the exam, there are three primary skills presented, primarily in the FRQs, but also in the multiple choice, which are concept understanding, data analysis, and scientific investigation. If you need to find out more about what these are, concept understanding is just how you can apply and memorize the concepts throughout. How well do you know the vocabulary? Can you apply the concepts to realistic situations? Data analysis, which is about statistics, graphs, just anything statistical that you can check in a form of chart. And then scientific investigation, which is sometimes the exam has you create an actual lab based on the realistic portions. And after this, we have all the resources you can utilize. So you can use your textbook, you can use review guides, flashcards, practice questions. You just have to pick which one of these works best for your situation. If you want thorough information, textbooks are your go-to to find a deeper understanding or additional support for difficult content. But if you're looking for more compact information, you should use a brief version of content, which is great for understanding if you have background understanding or if you just don't have time, like if you're in the last few weeks of the exam, before the exam. Flashcards, which are great for vocabulary. It's great for grasping concepts and memorization. Although we will be discussing how handwriting your flashcards is actually a lot better for retention than Quizlet, Aniki, Cram, all of these other applications. There's also practice questions, which are ideal for training your skills that we just talked about on the previous slide. You should use these to learn general test taking and free response question skills. The first resource that we're going to be going over is textbooks. So your notes will be paraphrased from the textbook, easy to digest and organized in a way that works for you. if you can't understand certain things in textbooks, you should reread them out loud, and that helps you get a deeper understanding. And most importantly, good notes help you study cumulatively. Yeah, the psychology of taking notes. It's actually helped me quite a lot in day-to-day life. So, notes are a paraphrase from the textbook, easy to digest. And good notes help you study cumulatively, which they won't help you as much. Bad notes can get you through a unit, but ultimately at the end of the exam, your retention rates will be lower. And I have 2 pictures attached below of different techniques for note-taking. Here we have one that's kind of an outline structure, and we have another one that is like the Cornell notes. Does anybody else use different note-taking techniques for textbooks? Okay. The second one, yeah. Cornell notes are my personal favorites. So going on to review guides. Review guides are great for reviewing during the last stretch before an exam. Like I said before, they are more compact information, so you get a little bit less in-depth, but it's great for time crutches. The information is very clear and concise, and you can fill your informational gaps by reading briefly. It's great for taking practice tests and then going back through and seeing what you need to correct, and then using the practice guide for that purpose. The main 3 review books for the majority of AP exams are going to be Barron's, Princeton Review, and 5 Steps to a 5. Does anybody else know any other psychology alternatives? I personally used Barron's, but I know that all 3 of these are extremely good resources. These also, you don't have to have them at the beginning of the year. They're actually more of an end of year kind of thing, but they're great to have throughout. And moving on, we have flashcards. Flashcards should be used when you're trying to practice vocabulary or concepts, or to summarize complex information. You should use this by either using handwritten notes, which are scientifically proven to have greater rates of retention, Quizlet, Aniki, or Cram. These are all on my top list of resources to use, and I use these while studying for the exam myself. Does anybody else know any more? They are, yes. Review books are great to just get a brief understanding of the material. Of course, you should use the textbook as well, but you can use review books as kind of a supplementary tool. I have my Barron's book personally right up on my shelf. And it's just a great summary. So moving on to the practice questions. The practice questions. Oh yeah. A different way to understand is also a great approach. If you find one way that doesn't work for you, don't stop there and just keep looking for more. There's something that works for everyone, and that's the nice thing about having all these different approaches. So, practice questions. These are the application of skills and concepts as they would be used on the exam. It's a realistic example of your understanding of the material, and it helps to guide your notes and study focus by evaluating performance. So you would want to take more thorough notes of something that you have done practice questions on and didn't do so well on. Just go back and review those again, and it's just a great guide. And it's also a by-chapter test of concept and skills, which kind of ties into that previous idea. General note etiquette. AP Classroom. What about AP Classroom? Do you have a specific question? Oh yeah, AP Classroom is a great resource. Use the College Board website, AP Classroom. There's also practice exams in many review books. Practice exams online. I know Varsity Tutors has a bunch of great ones. There's a ton of practice questions out there, both free response and multiple choice. So general note etiquette. You should try to handwrite your notes whenever possible for higher rates of retention, because it's more of a, it takes, you think about it and you get the information in more when you handwrite. You get a deeper understanding. And you should not note information that you already know. Yes, deeper processing. Thank you. If you already know the information, don't waste your time writing it down. You already know it. You could be using that time studying for something else. And you should also keep your notes short and concise. Don't write in complete sentences. Try to use bullet points whenever you can, or just flashcards for vocabulary. And in a textbook, this is all over, but textbooks specifically have this kind of stuff. If you see bold, subheadings, italics, and other distinguishing features, write it down. Those tend to be important terms such as vocabulary or concepts, or just the big idea of the chapter so you know what you're getting into. And some more general note etiquette. So you should try to form connections to the material for a deeper understanding and higher rates of retention. You should also try to practice recall versus recognition. Recall is coming up with the thing on your own. Like free response is an example of recall. There's no multiple choice questions that you have to recognize the answer in, which are actual terms that will be presented on the psychology exam, and also just good to know. When it comes to notes, you get information in deeper when you have it down to recall instead of recognition. And you should avoid passively flipping through your notes in this case, which can work, but it's not the ideal way to go about it. And lastly, don't cram. It might work for the upcoming exam, but it'll hinder your long-term memory. You don't retain the information as much when you cram it all into one night. Try to do a little bit each night, or pace yourself with a schedule. And thank you for viewing today. If anybody has any additional questions, you can just pop them in the chat, or you can send them to me on Instagram. Make sure you also follow @ThinkFiveable on YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram. But yeah, while you're taking notes and doing psychology, you'll learn a lot of valuable skills.